Good evening, I'm Jacob Reimer. A huge opportunity tonight for the Ohio State basketball team trying to build to their NCAA tournament resume as they host 24th ranked Wisconsin. The Buckeyes will be without John Mobley Jr. for the second straight game with a broken pinky finger on his shooting hand. Tip-off tonight from the shot is at 8:30. College basketball in the top 25 tonight, a big one at Mackey Arena with 7th ranked Purdue hosting number 1 Michigan. In the triangle, number 16 North Carolina is at NC State. Iowa hosts 9th ranked Nebraska, and Miami of Ohio looks to make it 26-0 tonight at UMass. Men's hockey at the Winter Olympics. Sweden beat Latvia 5-1 to advance to the quarterfinals. They'll take on Team USA tomorrow at 3:10. This update is sponsored by Uber Eats. Uber Eats has a great deal waiting for you at Old Bag of Nails. Get a buy one, get one free deal on burgers on the app. Terms apply. See app for details. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Bring it up for Ohio State.
You've waited all day for this.
Don't let that team stand in the way. He's going to take it to the house. 85 yards. Down the right side going Devin Smith. Got it at the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown.
The one show that's nothing but the Buckeyes.
Oh, Graham Rucker for the touchdown. Kraft shoots it high on the right for 3.
This is the Buckeye Show.
Off and rolling here on a Tuesday. I am Brandon Beam, hanging out with our guy, the great Tim May this evening. Jacob Reimer behind the glass. Tim, happy Tuesday to you. What's happening, buddy? Good to talk to you. I feel like it's been a while.
Brandon Beam, it's great to be here. As a matter of fact, I was somewhere today, and somebody asked me, how come you're not on the radio anymore? I said, well, no, I'm going to be on tonight.
That's right.
With who? I said, Brandon Beam. He said, you mean Brandon Beamer? And I go, well, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
But glad to be here, man. Thursday, I became a grandfather for the 3rd time.
Terrific.
Beautiful. I'm not kidding you. Beautiful baby girl. So I got two little boys and a little girl, and I was going to use a euphemism there I used to use when I lived in Texas, but I can't because that would be vetoed now. But the bottom line is I'm floating high, baby, floating high.
Absolutely. Well, big congratulations to you and your family on adding a...
I didn't have a whole lot to do with it, although I am the paterfamilias.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
There you go.
A third, right? Third grandchild
Yes.
into the May family?
Yes.
All right, so that's big. We've got one on the way coming in April. I told you, I'm like, we're on baby watch. We're not like that seriously into it yet, but who knows with the second one. So like our due date, well, Meredith's due date, not mine. I'm not giving birth to anyone, but hers is April 8th, even though the doctor's like, yeah, it's probably going to trend like late March.
Yeah.
And so here we sit, in the middle of February. I'm like, we could be, we're getting close. Like,
It's not like the first time though, right?
It's not.
The angst.
Yeah.
The anxiety, the angst is not there. It's more like eager. I'm sure your wife's eger. Let's get this done.
I think she's way eager.
Oh, yeah.
I think
yeah.
She is ready to have that child.
Well, my beautiful daughter-in-law, Steph, is a trooper, man. But, it's just cool. Like, you never know how the other two are going to take it. And they took it really well. One's 7, one's 4 years old. And they're pretty fired up about being big bros, especially the middle kid. You know what I mean? Because now he's a big brother.
Of course,
Charlie, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how Willie interacts with his little brother, because we've kind of been prepping him for the last couple of months for like, hey man, like, do you think your brother's gonna like going to the park? No. Do you think your brother's going to like going to the zoo? No. I like that. That's my idea.
Exactly.
He's starting to get...
It's a dictatorship.
It is. I told you, we live under strict dictatorship rule.
Being that first kid is pretty tough when you think about it, because probably the same age difference between your first and second one and Owen, our first grandson, and then Charlie, because you're used to being the guy,
the big dog.
Getting doted on, Prince William, you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden there's Prince Harry and Charlotte or Margaret or whatever her name is, you know what I mean? So, but it's pretty fire. It's pretty cool, and it just all you ever worry about, and I know you know this, all you ever worry about is 10 fingers, 10 toes, and go from there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we have another ultrasound coming up on Wednesday. So I'm going to do the toe count. I'm going to do the finger count.
Oh yeah.
But a big congratulations to you and your family on adding another one. We got a great show lined up for you here coming up this evening. Tim, in our next segment, haven't talked to you in a while. We're going to get into your biggest burning thoughts about the Buckeyes.
Burning.
You've been covering this team for a long time, Tim.
The burning man.
Quote unquote the quiet period of the year, but there's still a lot going on. Coming up here at 6:30, Ted Carter had an interview with Dom Taberi. We're going to listen to some of that. Great stuff.
So saw that was very good.
Yeah, very good. So he was talking about NIL, talking about the athletics department, all kinds of good stuff in there. Buckeye Hoops with a massive game tonight against the Badgers. We'll get into that towards the end of the hour. A singular voice needs to be in charge of college football, says one Power 4 coach. We'll get into that in the college football pulse. And then we've got a lot of Buckeyes projected to go into the draft in the end of April. We'll get into that as we close out our program in the 7 o'clock hour. Tim, how's your offseason been? Has it been all right? Has it been good? Because I know that it was kind of crazy town for a little bit there with the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
Guys coming in, guys coming out.
Yeah, you just kind of, you look at the tally every day, and thank God there are about 14, 15 websites that keep up with that stuff, right? And you just look at the list one way or the other. But I want to talk about maybe in the second segment about what I thought one of the major pickups was, because it's going to be huge, and it's funny how Ted Carter mentioned it.
I know, right?
I mean, the president of the university who has all kinds of things on his mind, but
Do you find before
I just think I think we're in such an interesting time, because the great thing about this is, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but even right now, we've never been in this situation. I mean, this is nothing like compared to 3 years ago, when this thing really took off. And
15
now
years
teams,
ago, 20 years ago.
No, I'm just talking about since transfer portal and NIL came along. And the way teams have morphed into the way they're building their rosters, much like, dare say it, much like NFL teams. There's certain guys you got to keep in free agency no matter what, and then certain guys you want to go after. And then certain guys, you're bringing along, and they've been on the all these things. I just think it's interesting. I think Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni have done a hell of a job. You lose a couple of guys you'd like to have kept, but not very many.
Yeah, I'm
talking about true like to have kept.
They lost one starter, right? For all of the panic that we were going through. And listen, I was in that boat too. I mean, guys were entering the portal left and right, and it was just like a tidal wave. What was the final number? 31, 32, 33?
Something like
I don't know. I kind of lost track in the middle of that. But to your point, there were a couple of guys who you lost, like, man, like these guys could have stuck around. They were coming into their own position where they could fight for a starting job, and then they went elsewhere. And I really do think, Tim, and we've been talking about this mostly kind of this entire offseason, and it already seems like a long offseason. You're almost 6.5 weeks into it.
Oh, yeah.
The last time you heard from Ryan Day was after the game in the Cotton Bowl against Miami, and you haven't heard anything really from the program since then, but they have seemed to tweak their attack and the way that they're going about their business in the transfer portal and kind of recruiting as well, right?
Well, you want to be older. You heard the president, what's his name?
President Slapshot.
Yeah.
Ted Carter.
Ted Carter. I was going to call him Ted Walter Carter. Ted Carter, you heard him, mention that. I mean, this is the president of the university, but talking about you want to get, if you can get older and stay at least as good, if not better, it's a win. And because you've got, that was what Indiana did. That's what Ohio State did the year before. Maybe not on purpose. Totally, hey, let's be older. Yeah. But they were able to keep guys around, and it paid off in dividends. And, of course, just right out of the bag, we'll talk about it, more in depth. But, no matter what you're doing in the offseason, no matter who you're going after, who you're getting, who you didn't get, you got to do something about the right side of the offensive line, specifically right guard. Came back to bite them in the boo-boo in both games that they lost. And yeah, you can disguise or whatever, and then the guy who started for 2 years for you leaves at that position, Tigger Shabola. So, that to me is job one, no matter what happens going into the spring. You can talk about all the weapons on hand and the quarterback they got from Maryland and Tavian St. Clair looking really good and stuff. You got to get the offensive line figured out and in a big-time way, and that definitely should be job one in the spring. I know it will be.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Arthur Smith is a good hire in that regard.
You get the offensive line right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are going to be demands there you got to figure. And the bottom line is, I'm just not saying there weren't before, but anybody can see that.
I think Ohio State was kind of throwing a curveball against Indiana. And the offensive line, I think, didn't play great in that game until the very end of the game. And then against Miami, Tim, and you were down there, you watched this, and I don't want to go too far back and relive that game. No, but
you look at where you were deficient, and you look at where all these guys are back.
Yeah.
Except for one who decided to leave. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, up until, the last quarter and a half of that Cotton Bowl
they're
game.
in the game.
They were in the game, and I thought they played much better that last 20 to 25 minutes than they did way better that first 30.
They scored, 3 touchdowns, though, in the last 2 games? Yeah. Is that the number?
Yeah.
That's not adequate.
It's not. And especially for a Ryan Day offense.
No,
right?
for any offense, but especially, yes, the Ryan Day offense. And, and you can throw that, like I've always said to Dom, I believe defense wins championships. Well, there's a great example of no, that's not the case. And, how much I love Dom. But, the other thing was you had the lead, and you gave up the score to give up the lead. Yeah. So defensively, there's blame. So there are all kinds of reasons why Mickey Marotti should have their full attention.
We've got our guy Tim May in here this evening. Tim, we're going to get to your burning questions, the thing that is front of mind most with Ohio State football coming up with you. Coming up next, it's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
Big voice guy here to remind you that you're listening to The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Okay, thanks. I have 3 more seconds. Bye-bye.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or give us a call and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Around here, it's all-wheel drive all year round, and Toyota has more all-wheel drive choices than anyone. Now through March 2nd, get 4.99 APR financing on a new 26 Corolla or Corolla Hybrid, excludes GR and Corolla Cross, or lease a new gas-powered Corolla LE for $199 a month or 39 months with $36.99 due at signing, with approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
From the first whistle to the final play, being a Buckeye fan calls for commitment and support. Nature Made vitamins are your winning play. From the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand, Nature Made is made to care for fans on game day and every day. So you can go all in on big wins, tough losses, and still show up for your team every time. Nature Made, proud vitamin and supplement sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Attention Columbus. Town Properties just clinched the title of the largest residential property manager in Columbus, thanks to the Columbus Business Journal. With pride, we oversee 25,000 plus households in the Columbus metro area, ensuring fantastic places to call home. Whether you're on the hunt for an exceptional living space, a top-notch association management company, or a property manager for your multifamily portfolio, visit our website at town.properties.com and let us elevate your living experience. Town Properties, always managing great places to live.
AgPro has been family owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
All your favorite fan shows are on YouTube, along with those fake YouTube ads like Chew This Gum and It Grows New Teeth. Experience the splendor of Bo sitting in his closet, Timmy Hall's gouty gold chains, and Matty Ice wearing a coat in 90-degree weather. It's all there. Head to YouTube and subscribe today.
Enjoy more ways to save at Kroger, like low prices in every aisle. And when you download the Kroger app, you can clip and save more with digital coupons every week. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you can enjoy more ways to save and more rewards every time you shop. So it's always easy to save big every day with savings and rewards. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium, presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
We could see a few rain showers overnight into the Wednesday morning rush hour across central Ohio. A mild night with upper 40s. Warm on Wednesday. My forecast high is 63. The record high is 66. 60% chance of rain first half the day. Drier the second, and it will turn gusty in the afternoon. It stays warm on Thursday with a 50% chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Highs in the 60s. That is your 97.1 The Fan weather forecast. I'm 10 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer.
If you still have a weird rash from jumping in Mirror Lake, we can be friends. This is the Buckeye Show.
Hanging out with my guy Tim May tonight. Want to let you know that we here on the Buckeye Show, brought to you by our good friends over at CareSource and United Healthcare, sharing some kid stories, here. Well, your grandkid stories, my kids' stories here during the break. And I was telling you a good one the other day, so I think it was, yesterday. It was President's Day yesterday, so my wife had the day off. William was also off. Daycare was closed, and, they're at the grocery store. I told you during the break, I'm like, he's really starting to kind of figure out his voice. Yeah. So usually during basketball games, they like to go out to dinner somewhere, and so usually he loves Bibby Bop. All right, who doesn't? That's his place.
Love that.
Like they love it. So a couple of weeks ago, they went in there and they go to the same one every time. That's pretty close to our house, and they go in there and they sit in the same spot. Well, someone was sitting in his, in that spot, and he goes up to the lady who's sitting there by herself, minding her own business, and just looks at her as like, "This is my table." I'm like, nobody owns that table, man. But we're gonna have to figure it out. And she started laughing, and he was like, "It's not a joke. You have to leave." Yeah. And so she ultimately got up. He got to sit in his seat. And then yesterday, I got a text from my lovely bride and said, "Your son is out of control." So, you're going down a grocery store aisle. 2 carts is about the width that you can fit, Yeah. And so both the carts both the carts were stopped at about the same spot. One person was picking something out on the right-hand side. One person was picking something out on the left-hand side. And he's sitting in the cart, facing backwards, realized that he stopped and turns around to both of these people and just looks at him and goes, "Hey, you got to get out of the way." Just out of control. Oh. And at that point, I'm like, I don't know what you do with him. I have no clue what you do with him. They get a voice, Tim. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you've lost contain.
Oh, no, man. It only goes up from here. If, in fact, that is the correct direction. That's like my 4-year-old grandson. I had to take him to basketball practice because my son was, otherwise engaged with his wife, who was about to have her 3rd kid, and Charlie had 2 baskets. He led his team in scoring with 2 baskets. He's 4 years old. Mm-hmm. But his big thing was a guy came into the lane and he went to put up a shot, and Charlie said, "I swatted it." And that was his highlight maybe of his 8 weeks of basketball practice.
Great.
Man, those guys, those young coaches, whatever they are, ever their age, that work with these little kids, man, it's like herding cats. But I give it up to them because they look fairly organized at the end, but they still can't dribble.
That's why you guys are one of the best teams probably in the area.
Yeah, well, there was no score keeping, to a certain extent, but it's still fun.
8-4, high scoring game.
It's just still fun to watch them develop. Even remember my little kids and stuff. And these are the golden years, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm really nervous where I'm headed with my daughter because even at 5 months old, she is talking a lot, like just making just random noises.
Oh yeah.
And
babbling.
And it's just very loud. So I'm worried that that's a sign of what's to come.
Does she get that from you or your wife? Well, you are on the radio. It's got to be you.
Absolutely me.
Yeah,
it's 1,000% me.
It's got to be you for sure. I was telling Willie the other day, we got a dentist appointment tomorrow. And by we, I mean him. Tomorrow, like early morning.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "Hey, man, Wednesday, we got a dentist appointment." "No, we don't." And I'm like, "Well, we do. We're going going to the dentist. I'm not going. I'm like, all right, well, I can't give you the sucker the same way we do for a haircut. So those things don't kind of agree with each other.
You can, just maybe a few hours later after things settle down in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fine. So that's what's going on in our house. Tim, you've been covering this team for a long time. College athletics have changed. We're going to hear from Ted Carter coming up in our next segment here around 6:30 with all these changes going on. His thoughts on NIL, which is very good. An interview with Dom Taberry. I would recommend that you go and watch it. What's the biggest thing burning in your brain right now about the Buckeyes as we kind of march towards spring football here with the Buckeyes?
Well, I kind of gave it up a while ago, but they've got to get the offensive line sorted sooner rather than later. And I know, we watched all spring ball last year and left with the idea Ethan Anianwa, going into the season, Ethan Anianwa was going to be the left tackle, the transfer, highly prized, highly paid transfer from Rice. Yeah. And, he barely played, obviously. And Austin Cervell became the, starting in spring and then moving on through, became the, really the poster child for the offensive line rebuilding and getting its act together. And I just think with him, obviously he got hurt so much he had to leave the Miami game, and that was quite unfortunate. Ian Moore went in. I thought played okay and stuff, but clearly their weak link in that game was their offensive line, especially the right guard or right side of the offensive line, because sometimes when the right guard's having a bad day, so can the right tackle.
And the center.
And center. That's just the way the chain works, Where'd the anchor go? It's at the bottom of the ocean. So the bottom line is they've got to come out of that.
Can I stop you there for a second? I've missed your sayings.
Really? That's a saying?
I don't know if that's a saying or not. But that was a very good one.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. They've got to. What I'm saying with my saying, they've got to get that ironed out. But you still don't know going into August and what's going to happen. Who's going to further step up? Who's going to further step back? Right on down the line. But the offensive line, you want to leave this spring, feeling like they can go out there and attack any offensive front, no matter what they're throwing at them. Miami did a good job. Miami was a different kind of attack, obviously, than Indiana. Indiana didn't do anything they hadn't done all year.
Yeah.
They make you think for that split second, which
it's a
kills
national
you.
championship defense.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Here I am ripping on them. The first two drives of the second half against Miami were choice, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They had it figured out. They did some good things, but then
same thing against Indiana at the end of the game.
Correct. You got to do it again, But the main thing is you got to score. The bottom line, no matter how you figure it up, you got to score more points than they did in those two games, those two playoff games, for one of another term. And so that would be number one. And number two, we're all interested to see a defense without Caleb Downs and without Arvell Reese. And without a guy named Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
And without a guy named Caden McDonald. We're going to talk about them maybe later in the draft situation.
Another Caden as well.
Dude, if you wanted to reach into a defense and just cut out its core, that's what you've just seen happen to this defense. Now, who's going to step up, at safety? Quite a few. I mean, I really like the way Jalen McClain played as that year went on, became a leader out there, in my opinion. But mainly, he just played his rear end off and stuff. But who's going to come on?
Little Terry Moore, those guys coming in from the portal.
Yeah, I mean, but they got to step up. You got to join the brotherhood and mean it. And then of course at linebacker, I mean, who isn't fired up to see Riley Pettijohn play more than 3 or 4 plays a game as a linebacker?
Yeah.
The Texas duo in there, that'll be interesting to watch.
So I think it's fascinating looking at the linebacker position because you brought in Christian Allegro from Wisconsin.
Yep.
Right? Peyton Pierce, I think, obviously is going to fill a starting role this season for Ohio State. And then you get the Riley Pettijohn, TJ Alford combo. And to your point, Riley Pettijohn kind of filled that Arvell Reese role, what we saw last year, right?
Yeah.
And by last year, I mean his sophomore,
2024.
Yes, his sophomore season, where you saw him in spot time and you're like, boy, that guy's
he flashed.
He's pretty good. Yeah. He flashed. Like, I'm excited to see him on the field more. So
I like him a lot. I just think he when you watched him, we don't. I know the secret's out, been long out. We don't get to watch practice every day, But when you're in there,
oh come on,
Tim. You just pay strict attention to a couple of 3 or 4 guys, and are they playing like I thought they would? Are they looking like are they as fast as I thought they were? Quick to the ball. Caleb Downs. It's uncanny how fast he is to the action. I mean,
it's almost before the offense knows what's going on. He knows it before they do.
Right. It's like he heard the play and, whatever. I mean, you say something like that and everybody, now the conspiracy theories start. No, it's like the way he could size up things with leanings, the way people are leaning, the way the formation, obviously that's basic, but just the way he could size up things and be there. The main thing is, there's, like I've said a million times, there's been a lot of guys come along that can sit back there and figure out what the offense is doing. But then the kind of guys that can do that and then have the physical capability of then going and making the play are rare.
It's a short list.
Yeah, and I'm talking about being there when it matters, not not chasing a guy from behind. So yeah, Caleb Downs, those are big spots. For example, Aaron Scott. You're not privy to those exit interviews, right? But I just go, man, if there was ever a moment in time where competition begs you, and also proximity to Ohio State from where you grew up.
Springfield kid, it's half an hour down the road.
Instead moves on. I'm just kind of going, wow, I'd like to be on some of those exit interviews or luring interviews. You know what I mean?
Yeah, depending on which way the players are going.
Dabo Swinney could hook me up. That'd be great.
Yeah, you broke some news there that you guys don't get to watch practice much. You've earned enough. You should be able to go over there whenever you want.
Yeah, I know, but you don't want to be that guy either. But believe me, it used to be when the door was open, I was there.
I bet.
And like I told John Cooper one time, I see you 10 times more than I see my wife during football season because I was always there. And that was back when you could see things developing, see things happen. You see an injury after it's over, you ask about it, and then you go report it. You don't try to beat everybody to the this is pre-Twitter. You don't try to beat everybody to Twitter and like their family read about it on Twitter.
That's how I found out the news. That's how I found out my favorite player was traded via Twitter.
Bingo. But that's why the door started getting shut, and I mean locked. And so then, you still have people who will tell you what's going on, but you don't want to go to that well too often because you don't want people fired for telling you so-and-so looked good at left guard today. Well, good for that. Good for him.
Well, you know what? As we get into the NFL,
just kind of hint at it.
NFLification of college football. I mean, the NFL has open practices.
Oh, yeah, I know they do.
So I feel like
open locker room.
College. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I remember when I covered it back in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, you could literally go. There were restrictions time-wise, but you could go in and ask anybody anything. I know, like 3 days a week during practices, Browns and the Bengals. And, but yeah, I understand. See, the more you have, the more social media, the more media really you have, the more you do have to restrict things.
Yeah.
Because it's even the players themselves. You heard me ask Ryan Day that one week, are we now supposed to be getting our injury update news from the Caleb Downs podcast? And he laughed or smiled and go, yeah. I mean, you remember when he had Jeremiah Smith, though, so are you going to play?
Yeah, I know. We were all waiting.
Yeah.
We were all waiting until, 9 a.m. that next day when it came out?
That's just the way things have changed.
Yeah, it's crazy. Speaking of the way things have changed, NIL, under its current conditions, not sustainable. According to Ohio State President Ted Carter. You're going to hear from him coming up here in 2 minutes. It's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
What's up, everybody? This is Jeremy Birmingham Berm from the Austin and Berm Show here on 97.1 The Fan. I hit maintenance after dropping 35 pounds on Awaken 180, and I'm not going to pretend that I don't feel different, because this is the first time in a long time I've actually reached a goal that I set for my physical health instead of just talking about one, thanks to Awaken 180. I'm under 200 pounds for the first time in 25 years, and that's not a small thing. I didn't have to muscle my way there either. The Awaken 180 coaches walked me through it. Every adjustment, every tweak. They made it simple. Honestly, it was easier than I expected. This now feels like momentum. I'm in maintenance mode, and I'm not guessing. I can have pizza. I can have ice cream. All the things I used to love are back on my menu, but my metabolism is firing on all cylinders. The difference is my body doesn't crave it all the time. It was a mindset change and not a Band-Aid. That's the part that changes everything. If you've been circling the same goal for years, maybe you don't need more willpower. Maybe what you need is what I had, a plan, a coach, and a system that makes it easy. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Life is more fun with a pal. So is pizza. So check out Donato's $5 Pizza Pals menu. Order any large pizza and add on your choice of a sub, salad, wings, a 10-inch pizza, and more for just $5 each. Order your favorite $5 Pizza Pals from Donatos.com today. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donatos. Gotta love more.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource, proud to be your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Ryan Day's favorite radio show. Probably. Maybe. You're listening to the Buckeye Show.
Hanging out with my guy Tim May tonight. Coming up 1 hour away from right now. We'll get to the Ohio State warm-up show, Buckeyes and Badgers over at the Shot this evening. We'll talk a little OSU hoops coming up here in our next segment.
Badgers.
Yeah, should be a good one, right?
We don't want to beat. We want to beat those stinking Badgers.
A few weeks ago, it was a tough game. Aaron Rapp off the bench, I think, gave you 20 points, just lights out in the first half from three. So we'll see what happens tonight. Again, we'll talk some more hoops a little bit in our next segment. Warm-up show coming up 1 hour away from right now. Tim, before we get to hear from Ted Carter, you just mentioned something there in the break.
Badgers?
The Ohio State running back situation, I think, is a fascinating one with Bo Jackson and Isaiah West out for spring ball. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of new guys or a lot of guys without a lot of reps so far for Ohio State that are going to get a lot of playtime this spring.
Talk about a silver lining. That's what it is. And you know what? When you're talking about playing a 17-game schedule, see, this is what I think is, well, we'll talk about future of college football later maybe, but I'll say this. I think spring football eventually is going to move. I mean, as in become part of a summer conditioning.
OTAs.
Get ready for the season, much like the NFL schedule anymore. You'll have, because they can have OTAs anytime they want in college football because everybody's there.
Yeah.
Right? But I would see it moving more in that direction of like install and in little sessions like a week at a time or 3 days at a time, and then finally build up. And you have like, in essence, and under some kind of control, modicum of control, no 3 days, but maybe add another 2 weeks to the preseason camp with maybe a break, along the way and stuff. But something's got to move because they've got to figure out the schedule where they can put the transfer portal where I think it ought to be, which is in the spring window somewhere. Agreed. And so we'll see if they ever get to that. But there's a lot of things college football needs to do, which Mike Elko thinks one guy could do. And I'm telling you, we'll get to that quote in a minute. But I'm just, everybody keeps saying Nick Saban this, Nick Saban that. Nick Saban was used to ruling the roost.
And it's not even just college football, Tim. I think it's college athletics as a whole.
Oh, yeah,
right?
exactly.
I mean, you look at what's going on in college basketball, Charles Bediako, that whole situation, players getting more eligibility than what they should. I mean, the whole Trinidad Chambliss situation, which came down late last week.
The kid went to Memphis from, just right on down the line. They're just like all kinds of
with 8 years of eligibility.
You've been around me. You've heard me say this before. The guys who are really making out in the NIL transfer portal tsunami are lawyers.
Yeah.
They are making cash, baby.
Yes, they are.
And there's another great example.
Yeah. I mean, because
we're going to battle the NCAA. Well, saddle up, brother.
And you're likely going to win unless it's the Charles Bediako case, which is the first time the NCAA has won in court for a long time. So that kind of...
But that one made so much sense.
Yeah, it did.
Right?
Guy's professional. He played in the NBA.
Correct. I mean, everybody else has an agent now, too, and stuff, but they didn't sign contracts with another league or whatever.
Yeah, if he wanted to come back and play college football, fine. All right, that's okay, but playing the same sport that you got paid at a professional level for?
Isn't that what got that one player? Was that what got that one player under Jim O'Brien or Bill O'Brien? Which one's Jim O'Brien? Was he had been in some kind of pro league or something in Eastern Europe I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was just Jim O'Brien gave his mother money, but yeah,
that's Brad Underwood's whole team at Illinois this year.
They even had to go to court to win that one, the Bediaco thing. They had to go to court to do it, and so that's where we are now.
Yeah, it's a wild world. So if you
wonder what league he's playing in now.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue until he gets an injunction.
Right now, he's at Alabama playing school. Apparently,
yeah.
the greater Birmingham Slam Dunk League.
That's where he's at.
I'd pay to watch that
until he goes professional in something else. So Dom Taberry, our great friend from 10 TV, did an awesome interview with Ohio State President Ted Carter. It's on 10 TV Plus if you want to go watch the whole thing. It's very good. I recommend that you do it. They talked about kind of the state of college athletics. Here was the one garnering the most headlines. This was Ted Carter talking about the NIL space in college athletics and if he's worried about it or not.
I am worried. And I'll just say right up front, I'm not trying to make a headline. It's not sustainable. I mean, if you look at the trajectory of when we started with the House versus the NCAA and where we've just gone in the last couple of years, yes, we're moving them out of third party to more interior. We've got this College Sports Commission that's supposed to help vet all this. It is not sustainable over the next 3 years unless something changes. Now, that said, Ohio State is still competitive. There's only about 5 schools in the country that can play at this level right now in terms of NIL. Fortunately, we're one of them. But even at that level, especially we want to field a really good men's basketball team, a women's basketball team, and compete in other sports like ice hockey. It's not sustainable. Something's going to have to give.
And I don't know what is going to have to give, Tim, but you see the way that this game is being played on an NIL front from, let's just take Texas Tech, for example. It's a much different situation down there than it is here in the Big Ten land pertaining to Ohio State. Much different situation.
Well, yeah, they've got a sugar daddy guy who wants Texas Tech to be good in everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they came and got Ohio State's catcher from last year on the Jasmine Burns was there. Came and got her because she basically just showed everybody she can hit a home run in any bandbox.
Paying a pitcher $1 million in softball, right?
Exactly. I mean, so, they want to be good in softball, so they are. They weren't quite good enough in football, but
they were pretty good in football.
I said not quite good enough.
Yeah, you're right.
That's exactly my exact quote. But the bottom line is, and so they went and got a quarterback, right? Big-time quarterback this year. So right on down the line, the idea that everything $600 or more is going to be vetted, on the NIL front.
I don't know how you physically do that because there's so many of those deals.
But here's the thing. See, it goes back to the old model of the NCAA, which is your school is supposed to keep up with that. And you agreed, if you signed this paper, the CSC paper, you're supposed to play by those rules. And but now who's enforcing that?
Nobody.
Right? And your school is supposed to monitor. They have their own. Ohio State has its own people that look at those things, but not everybody. I would say half the group is not playing by the rules. They're not going.
They don't care.
Yeah.
All right,
but here's
get me, right?
But I've always argued this. Jeremiah Smith. I'm car dealer B.
I'm car dealer A.
Like I said, make me a Buick, right? But I'm car dealer B. And
we're really going low for Jeremiah Smith here.
Yeah.
Oh, Buick's terrific.
Wouldn't
cars.
you really have a Buick?
I would like to be in a Buick. I don't think that he's shopping for Buicks though.
Hey, that's B-I-C-K. B-I-C-K. That's not the way you spell Buick. The only thing missing is you. And you think he's worth $150,000 to you to promote your dealership and your brand?
Yeah.
Who is this guy over here in the CSC enforcement department to tell you otherwise?
Exactly.
Right?
It's only worth $78,000.
Based on what? There is no based on what's in these things.
Correct.
Right? Because every example is different. So, it's always been good luck. I mean, they never could get around to paying the players, and so now they're paying the piper.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's going on in college athletics. And like you heard Dom ask him about guys becoming employees. And, of course, colleges scoff at that and they give all kinds of reasons. But really the only way you get a handle on this is I'm signing you, Brandon Beamer, not, your arch lookalike, to be my right guard. I'm signing you, and I'm signing you to a contract, not to a what do they call it, financial papers and all that kind of stuff, which means you can't do anything unless I tell you you can leave. It's a mutual deal, but they don't want to go to contracts and they don't want to go to probably collective bargaining. and the players, collective bargaining would come. But here's the question I keep asking every time I'm on here, Brandon. When did college athletics become a career? And that's what we're seeing, man.
Yes, we are. And it's a pretty good career, too. If you can
For some of these guys going into their 18th year, and this only started 5 years ago.
Yeah, but you know what? Some of those guys were in college, Tim, 12 years ago.
Well, yeah.
When we got to this point.
There's a guy who signed with Trevor Lawrence's class way back when, and who's still in college football. What?
He's on his second contract in the NFL.
Crazy.
To your point, is collective bargaining on the table for college athletics? You're going to hear more from Ted Carter coming up next. It's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
Wake up with the Fan. Eat lunch with the Fan. Go to bed with the Fan. Dream about the Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
Great Lakes Hyundai, the savings are so good.
This tax season, save your refund. Get a 2026 Tucson or Santa Fe at 0% for 60 months and make no payments for 90 days. Columbus or Dublin or glakeshyundai.com. See dealer for details. Offer ends through 2.
Hey, Columbus, big news. For a limited time, get Uber One free for a full year so you can save on food and rides. That's a $96 value on us. Just use code Columbus. Get 1 year of $0 delivery fees, 10% off eligible food and grocery orders, and up to 6% Uber One credits on rides. Sign up for this limited time offer today using code Columbus and save big with Uber One. Offer valid through 3/31/26. Savings and $0 delivery fee on eligible orders and rides only. Fees and terms apply. See app for details.
It's Skyway time at Skyline Chili. Come get your Skyline 3, 4, or 5-way with 50% extra cheese at no extra charge. Regular and large ways only at participating Skyline restaurants for a limited time.
Breathe. You got this. You got it.
In the moments that truly matter, what do? Rise to the occasion. Ohio Health. It's time.
I love Right Pack Credit Union because they're solution driven. I feel valued as a member.
They're focused on the latest technology and the personal connections.
Experience benefits that go beyond banking with Right Pack Credit Union. Just ask our actual members.
I definitely recommend Right Pack to all my family and friends as a credit union of choice.
Visit one of our Columbus area Right Pack Credit Union member centers near you. Based on individual members' experiences, results may vary.
Bishop and Friends.
Got his hands on the Acme Dynamite.
He's ready to go.
Sell that. If you sell like the plunger, boy, you get $1 million out of it.
That'll pay for a half of a player.
Bishop and Friends, sponsored by Diamond Seller.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on The Fan.
Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Ohio State sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State team shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Come on over to Heartland and join our family.
Now, getting ahead in this world is not as complicated as it might seem. Having the early guidance and counsel of your community banker, one who knows you and your family's story, can make a great deal of difference. Relationships matter. Bank on community banking. I'm Scott McComb, coming over to Heartland, where banking really feels good.
Where banking feels good. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hosting a passionate crew of Buckeye fans? Revamp your rec room for an epic watch party with power reclining sofas, massaging recliners, entertainment centers, and coffee tables from Bob's. They even have sofas with drop-down tables for snacks and bevs. Shop in-store or online to score big on an incredible game day setup at Bob's everyday low prices. Bob's Discount Furniture, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Airflow Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
4 out of 5 dentists recommend this show. The other dentist is a Michigan fan. Yuck. You're listening to The Buckeye Show.
Hanging out with our guy Tim May this evening. Coming up here at 7:30. Get into the Ohio State warm-up show. Buckeyes and Badgers coming up here this evening. The rematch from earlier on in the season at the Kohl Center. See what happens this evening. No John Mobley Jr. again for Ohio State basketball tonight. Tim, we were just talking about the NIL world. And again, Dom Taberi had a great interview before he set sail on the Buckeye Cruise, which left today, with Ohio State President Ted Carter. Go watch the whole interview. It's on 10 TV Plus, where you can go watch it. Collective bargaining has been a kind of hot phrase, hot words in college athletics for a long time. Can we make it happen? Can we not make it happen? It goes against everything with amateurism in college athletics. Well, here was Ted Carter talking about whether or not players becoming employees is on the horizon for college athletics.
Well, it'll be a conversation for sure, and it may happen, coming out of the White House for all we know. I mean, there could be a commission put together that will talk about how does this play out. I'm a big believer that we don't want to make our athletes employees because I think ultimately they lose. They lose things like scholarship. There'll be much less incentive to graduate and get a degree, which is something that we hold dear. They could lose support for medical care after they leave a program. So I just see more downside to becoming an employee or becoming unionized than the upside. And then depending on states and employee rules, you might have to actually apply for some of these positions. So, be careful what you wish for. The second, third order effects are not going to be what you like.
All right. So when I heard that answer from Ted Carter,
yeah.
And again, I've said this on this show and other platforms many a times. I'm not in charge of college athletics. I don't want to be in charge of college athletics.
But you've got all the answers.
I don't have any of the answers in college athletics, nor do I pretend to. And that's the reason why, because you're talking about, and I know that, Austin Ward, he joins us here and we talk about collective bargaining all the time. It sounds so easy when you say it out loud.
Yes.
But when you get into the nitty gritty of it and you get into county laws, you get into state laws, you get into federal laws, you get into antitrust laws, which is a whole different ballgame than what you're talking about at the state level. It becomes so mind-bending that you can't even wrap your head around it. So to Ted Carter's point, is it coming? Would college football and college basketball coaches or any college coaches like for it to happen? Yeah, I'm sure, because inherently I think it would make their jobs a little bit easier.
Would give them more legal control over their rosters.
Correct. But when you're actually talking about implementing it, I don't know how in the world that you're able to do it.
Well, NFL's implemented it. I mean,
Yeah, but the NFL has also been a non-profit organization since the day that they were incepted.
Well, like what Ted Carter said, you got to get something coming out of Washington that says you don't have to play by necessarily all of these rules.
Yeah.
But then with me saying that, then you've got to take care of these special employees. Mm-hmm. And that's what's the difference. But the bottom line, all those things can be handled. The problem with college football always has been is not just every league, every team and every school in every league is an entity.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm going to do it my way. My state says I can give NIL if I'm in Tennessee or, all the...
Even compare Ohio, right? Ohio going back across the bow of paying high school player athletes when it comes to NIL. Texas, California,
we were all there at
Tennessee.
The Covelli Center when, they introduced the NIL legislation, for Ohio. Everybody's different. Every state's different. You just saw where NFL players just played the Super Bowl, and the state of California is going to get, more than 50% of what they made because of them playing it in the state of California. Yeah. I mean, you never know who's coming after you once you have money.
And believe us, there's a lot of people coming after you.
But I'm just telling you right now, what he is saying is, this is sort of like when they invented the jet engine and spooled it up that first time, and the way they were able to control it was how much fuel was going into it. But everybody was looking at each other like, you know what? We keep adding fuel, it's going to keep going faster.
Yeah.
We got to figure out some way to govern this, et cetera. And that's what this is right now. It's a jet engine with money coming in the front end and going out the back end. And as they say about most private jets, by the way,
I don't know. I've never been on one before.
They're not running on kerosene or Jet A fuel. They're running on money. But the bottom line is, right now, it's still a turbine, still looking for maximum RPM, and they're a long ways from that, brother.
Yeah.
Because this idea that you could have 4 or 5 or 8 or 12 teams break away and start their own thing, well, that's not going to go over well.
No.
When Ohio State has a 6-6 season and barely makes the playoffs, nobody's going to be happy with stuff like that. They want the past, the present, and the future all at the same time.
Tim, we can't agree on the number of teams in a playoff.
Correct.
What makes you think that we could agree on the teams in a breakaway renegade league?
And not only that, whether those players should get bonuses for playing in the playoff. You know what I mean? I remember when I asked Kirby Smart and Ryan Day that before they played in 2022, that semifinal. And
Great game, by the way.
Yeah, Kirby Smart started talking about how, now we can, now thanks to our work, we can have pay for the players' families to go to these games and stuff. Well, that was Ohio State that did that. I know I've said
that was Urban in 2014.
I'm just looking at him like, dude, you did, the SEC is like the NASCAR. They think they invent everything after they start using somebody else's technology. But yeah, the bottom line is there are all kinds of ways this can go. But I really had an epiphany the other day that, like, 10 years from now, you might have two major, not the UFL, two major professional football leagues in this world. One will be the NFL, and whatever you call the coalition of college football teams.
Yeah.
But it's got to have something to do.
I don't know.
It's got to have something to do with academics, or what a joke.
Yeah. I have no clue what it's going to look like in 10 years. And I think when we get to like our biggest questions about what college athletics is going to look like, that on the meta scale is the biggest one that I have.
Think about how much more money big time college football players are making this coming season than UFL players are making.
Well, and that's why
UFL players are playing pro football.
You're starting to see a lot of these guys, Tim, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
You're starting to see a lot of them, instead of going to the draft, whether they're going to be, a 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick, whatever it may be. I don't know the NFL papers and when they submit them. What
Bob
the scouts
Dylan write a story about them.
You're starting to see a lot of guys. I mean, I think the perfect example of that is exactly what happened at Oregon this year. You see Dante Moore, boom, like that guy is a projected top 10 pick, top 5 pick. Like, I know that it was going to be him against Fernando Mendoza, and maybe he didn't want the whole Shedeur Sanders situation where he's fallen to the 6th round.
Yeah.
So what did he say? I'm going to protect my money. I'm going to make $4 or $5 million from Oregon. Dylan Raiola transfers in.
Why wouldn't you do that?
I have no problems with that at all. If someone is offering you that money legitimately, you got to go and take it. And then Dylan Raiola saying, well, if you're still going to pay me a good amount of money to sit here on the bench and learn this offensive system, and then I can play 1 year for you guys as a starter, make more money that next season, then go boost my draft stock up, why would I not do that?
And maybe look like I'm excited about playing the game instead of the way I've looked the last couple of years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was tough for him.
I don't know. But no, you're exactly right.
I'm my younger brother, too.
You never had this. You never had this alternative, this option. And now they do. And why would you leave it, man? College is a great time.
It is a great time.
Unless you get hurt. But
I've
you
had
can get
plenty
hurt.
of friends spend 7 or 8 years in college and barely walk away with an undergrad degree.
Yeah, you and John Belushi.
And Anthony Schlegel, guys who go to college for 7 years. What are they called? Doctors. I believe that was that was his phrase.
You also reportedly had the Illabuck in your basement.
Yeah, we did have the Illabuck in our basement.
That's a true story, huh?
Yeah, it is. And Michael Bennett doesn't claim that. Or he did. I think he did claim it. that we did have.
I think he said he didn't know that for sure.
I'm telling you, that story, the Illabuck was in our basement at some point in time.
Like a frightened turtle.
It was only there for a few hours under my recollection. Whether it stayed for longer periods of time than that, I plead the fifth. I have no clue about that.
It's still good lore.
It is. Yeah, it's great lore. Speaking of college football, we need a singular voice in it. At least one Power 4 coach says that. We'll do that in the Pulse coming up next. It's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Hey, Jerry. Remember when we launched our $93 drain clearing offer and you invented the phrase 93 or free?
You know, I've actually written quite a few catchphrases in my career.
Oh, yeah. Aren't you the guy who wrote Bob's Your Uncle?
Yep, for my friend Steve, who has an Uncle Bob. I was as surprised as anyone when it caught on with the general public.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Well, we need 93 or free to catch on. Our experts will clear your clogged household drain for just $93. If we can't, it's free. And we guarantee it'll stay clear for at least a year, or we'll clear it again for free.
Get Eco, and Bob's your uncle, your drains are clear.
Get Eco.
ECO.
But Jerry, my uncle's name is Michael.
Get Eco, and Michael's your uncle, your drains are clear.
Let's stick with 93 or free.
Yeah, good call.
Get Eco.
ECO.
Eco plumbers, electricians, and HVAC technicians.
GetEco.com.
Modern Office Methods, your authorized RICO dealer, can help your business optimize your print production with a competitive advantage. Our digital printing options will expand the type of paper and substrates from what your business can print on today. Add variable data capability, which allows for personalization of catalogs and mailers, and the ability for short-run label printing, which allows your business to print high volumes of custom labels quickly and on demand. Want to learn more? Start with a print assessment at momnet.com. Why risk it? You can count on Mom.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
A team that studies the unique makeup of your disease to develop a personalized treatment plan.
You're choosing our region's only comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
Hello, I'm Ross Bjork, Senior Vice President and Eugene Smith, Wolf Foundation Endowed Athletics Director at The Ohio State University. In partnership with AEP, Donato's, Kroger, The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, Huntington, and 10 TV, Ohio State Athletics strives to inspire the community to make a positive impact on children and families in our great state through the Buckeyes Care Initiative. Show and share your support in the community by using the hashtag BuckeyesCare.
It's game day at Raising Cane's. If you want to order like a Buckeye, it's the action off the field you need to focus on. The only play you're running is chicken. So what combo are you picking? Make it a perfect season. We've got tailgates of hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce. And jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. All available to order online or on our app. This season is about to be unbeatable. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios. Driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good evening. I'm Jacob Reimer. A huge opportunity tonight for the Ohio State basketball team trying to build to their NCAA tournament resume as they host 24th ranked Wisconsin. The Buckeyes will be without John Mobley Jr. for the second straight game with a broken pinky finger on his shooting hand. Tip-off tonight from the shot is at 8:30. College basketball in the top 25 tonight. A big one at Mackey Arena going on right now with 7th ranked Purdue hosting number 1 Michigan. In the triangle, number 16 North Carolina is at NC State. Iowa hosts 9th ranked Nebraska. And Miami of Ohio looks to make a 26-0 tonight at UMass. Men's hockey at the Winter Olympics. Sweden beat Latvia at 5-1 to advance to the quarterfinals. They'll take on Team USA tomorrow at 3:10. This update sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
It's time time for the College Football Pulse on the Buckeye Show.
Sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Hour number 2 of the program for us here on this. What day is it? Is it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday, baby.
I don't know. All my days are running together. We got hoops tonight coming up at 8:30, 7:30. We're going to get into the warm-up show. We'll be joined by Ron Stokes. We'll talk some Ohio State hoops in that segment with him. As you know, Tim, with kids, all my days just kind of run together. I have got no clue what day of the week it is.
That's the way it is with mine, with my kids, not my grandkids, and they're all way grown and way moved out. But they keep entering my timeline. You know what I mean? So good luck for you. That was a great line from your mother-in-law, by the way.
Well, yeah. So I was just telling you. I said, I'm having dinner. We're going over to an old friend's house coming up here this weekend on Saturday, and they just bought a lovely condo townhome in Dublin. They're excited to show it off, and I haven't seen him in months. I've been best friends with him for since first grade, Tim, and I go on my annual fishing trip, quote unquote, where we don't even bring fishing poles anymore to the fishing trip. Hang out with his family. They're terrific people, and I haven't seen him in months. Schedules get crazy. He's busy at work. We're busy doing our own thing. And he goes, hey, do you guys want to go out for dinner on Saturday, or would you rather just get takeout and eat at our house? And I'm like, we're not really in a place. And Jacob, this is wise words to you. All right, just listen to this. Take Nora out while you can. Get out and about while you can do it. I'm like, we're really not at a place where we can go anywhere right now, because the attention span is about 15 seconds, and we're doing millions of laps around the restaurant. We're bumping into people. So just, wise words of wisdom there. And I told you, I said, my mother-in-law had the best words of anyone that maybe has ever existed, that have really sunk into my heart. For the first 2 years of your child's life, you're teaching them how to walk and talk. And then the rest of the time until they get out of the house, you're teaching them to sit down and shut up. That's it. That's all you're trying to do. The whole time we try to go somewhere. We try to, we try to get them out of the house and go somewhere to eat. But I told you the grocery store story. Yeah. I told you the Baby Bop story. It's almost an impossible task getting out of the house right now.
My 4-year-old grandson, Charlie, will sit and eat until the food's gone.
Yeah.
So he's pretty good. Owen's a little more active, but Owen's gotten a lot better in that regard. He's 7 years old. But, you're exactly right. That's life, baby. Welcome to it.
Yeah, it's crazy. By the time I feel like Willie gets older, his younger brother is going to be in the same situation where it's like, we can't go out again.
Oh, yeah.
We can't do
Pete and repeat. That's what you should have named him.
So, I've never heard that one before. That's also a very good one.
Yeah, right.
So, Jacob, enjoy the time while Nora is still immobile, because once she starts moving.
Yeah. And about 12 years old?
Your shot clock is ticking.
About 12 years old with the daughter. My daughter used to give me the greatest hugs. I mean, the greatest. Till about 12 years old. And then it was like, who's that guy?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Want nothing to do with you. Yeah. Reimer, what do you got for us tonight, buddy?
So Mike Elko, the coach at Texas A&M, he is making some comments. He went on 3's J.D. Peichel. He went on his podcast and was wanting someone in charge of college football. And so
Me too, brother.
He says in a quote here, put somebody in charge. It's a $1.2 billion industry with not a singular voice in charge of it making decisions for the betterment of college football. And I think until we get that, we're going to continue to flounder with some of those areas. What's best for the SEC isn't always what's best for other conferences. What's best for the other conferences isn't always best for the SEC. At some point, we're going to have somebody who's capable of making rules regarding the betterment of college football, enforcement of rules, and all of that. Until we get that, I think we're all at risk of this thing not lasting like we want it to last.
You need a 3-man commission or a 3-person commission. That way there's no tie in a vote, right?
Yeah.
So unless everybody's unanimous or everybody's against it. But you need
high school football where you go to more than one flip.
You need more, exactly. You need more than one person. I saw Lufkin, lose a district championship. Getting to go and play in the playoffs back in the old days when only one team from your district went on because they lost a 3-way coin flip like in Friday Night Lights. Yeah. Almost the same thing. I digress. Bottom line is you got to have more than one guy. The guy who's on everybody's lips every time something comes up like this is Nick Saban. Does Nick Saban would he really want to do that? I think he's really good at pointing out things. And I think for the most part, he sees the good and the bad in the deficiencies in different things. But it's got to be somebody who understands, for example, you need this for football, and then you need something else for basketball. You follow my drift?
Well, I mean,
they're not the same in any respect.
You need something else for every different sport.
Exactly.
When you start to break it down, because football, right? Like, I mean, let's break it down as the old food pyramid, right?
Yeah.
And whether you want to put football at the top of the food pyramid or the bottom of the food pyramid, it depends on the way that you look at it. But college football brings in by far the most revenue of any college sport, right? And then you get into men's basketball, then you get into women's basketball, and then it depends on which university that you're at and which athletic department that you're at from there on out on the way that it breaks down.
Women's volleyball, like at Louisville and Nebraska and places like that.
Yeah, it breaks down financially.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about a commissioner of college football, that means like splitting them off compared to different athletic departments across the country. And to your point about Nick Saban, would he want to do it? If I'm Nick Saban, I'm enjoying life right now.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time on College game day. I don't need this in my life. If I wanted this pain in my life, I would go back to be a head coach somewhere and deal with all the headaches that came along with it.
But let me say this.
It's 10 times amount the headaches that you're going to get as a commissioner in college football compared to a head coach.
If, in fact, you did anoint a czar, which I don't think you should, it should be a triumvirate that runs it, they should be given, with no doubt, 5 years before they're up for
re-election.
No, not re-election. Ouster, because it'll be ouster out in the street,
Make it like the Supreme Court, just a lifetime appointment.
Yeah, and just but don't put somebody from the Ivy League in charge of the Big Ten and the SEC. Is my point. It's got to be somebody who can understand the lay of the land and where they are and things like that. But it should be.
I think you'd be a good candidate.
Should be multiple people. I would change a lot of things, but
What'll be the first thing that you change?
Things, but they have to be legal. Things have to be legal.
I'm just saying.
The first thing I would change is I would move, for example, the transfer portal from you know why they put it in January? Mm-hmm. That's as close as you can get to being at the start of a school year.
Correct.
And the other thing is, I understand the thinking there, because you want to, if you're only going to have one, you want to know what your roster is going into February and March, not going into July and June and July. So I can understand that. Except I would move it anyway. I would do what I said a while ago. I would incorporate so that you don't get so carried away with football. I would incorporate OTAs and stuff through the spring, but I would leave, in that realm, I would leave the transfer portal where it is, so you have everybody on hand who's going to be part of your football team in the fall, and then you would have extra weeks in the summer to get ready for the football season. And then I would also mandate the football season be over by the championship game would play somewhere in the neighborhood of January the 8th through the 11th.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Forget about this. You're scaring February now, dude.
I think the college football championship game for this season, the upcoming season, the 2026 season, is January 26th, I think, is the championship game.
You know what's going on? I mean, they still keep trying to keep the bowl games, the big-time granddaddies of the bowls, relevant. And
there's just no way. You got to fall by the wayside.
I
Sorry,
understand
you just
that.
Go.
But, if you go to this new model, then, you make two of those now are relevant. They are your semifinals, and then you play the finals a week and a half later on January the 8th or 9th.
I think you have the college football semifinals plus whatever bowl games that you want to have
there still should be bowl
on
games.
New Year's Day.
Yeah.
You do that. You still have a 4-pack of games. You put one game at noon. You put the other one at 2:30, and then you start the playoffs at 4 and 8.
4 and 8.
And then those are your semifinal games. And then, Tim, to your point, 1 week later on the 8th or the 9th.
8th or 9th.
Whenever that Saturday or
probably have to be Monday because the NFL's going strong at that moment.
It is, and they're getting into wild card weekend at that point, especially if they're going to go to an 18-game season, which likely they are.
Right.
That's the way that you fix at least the postseason in college football.
The postseason, like you said, they can't even agree on 16 or 24. And what, as Ted Carter told Dom, he sees it being 12 for at least the next 2 years, probably. I mean, he didn't say that exactly, but he hinted at that. And I go, well, that makes sense. It's only been 12 for 2 seasons.
Yeah. And it was 4 for
why do we think it's so wrong? I mean, just because the SEC felt wronged a couple of years ago, and then we found out they weren't wrong. They're not that good anymore. On a relative sense, they're not any better than the Big Ten. And for that matter, the ACC. I mean, you saw what Miami did. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, it's like there's all these factions always involved. You just got to have somebody who will stand up there like a Wizard of Oz and go, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
This is the way it's going to be for 3 years, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to come to an agreement with anything. Again, I've said this on this show and other shows many a times before. I think 12 is too much. If you want a real playoff system, go back to 8. I know we're all arguing about 16 to 24.
Amen.
But I think the best number that you could possibly come up to and come up with.
How they made that leap from 4 to 12 is still beyond me, except you know what's going on.
I mean,
what's going on. You play in that round of 12, everybody gets $4 million. Mm-hmm. Your league gets $4 million, or if you're Notre Dame, you get $4 million, at least right now. And round down the line, the reason they want to go to 16 or 24 is they want to create more paydays like that. I mean, there's no secret about what's going on in terms of playoff expansion, end quote.
We're not putting the genie back in the bottle. Again, if it was my way, we'd go back to 8, maybe 4. Like, I think the 14 playoff was very good because it kept the regular season alive and meaningful every single week.
Yes.
Now, there have been plenty of times where Ohio State fans or other fandoms around the country were heartbroken when you lost the wrong game, but it still meant something. And if you go to 24, I have a hard time wrapping my head around you being that upset about a regular season loss.
But 90% of the 4 over those years were elite.
Yeah.
That's what you want in a playoff. You don't want, we should feel sorry for Joey Broman over here. Let's get him a spot so he can keep his job or whatever. Forget all that. I mean, it's just, I don't know. You dilute something, and like Ted Carter said that, you dilute something, it loses its value.
What is Ted Carter saying about the playoffs? Is it expanding? Is it not? You're going to hear more from him coming up next. It's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
The only workplace in America to participate in the Doorknob Fart Game. And we also play office basketball and sometimes do radio. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Things people don't believe in. Little green aliens. Bigfoot. And that Spectrum TV combines all your favorite streaming apps with live TV at no extra cost. But that one is actually true. You get over $100 worth of streaming apps like HBO Max, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Peacock, AMC Plus, and more, included with live TV at no extra cost. It's only the way TV should be. It's only everything. Learn more at SpectrumTV.com.
At ADP, we know you want your landscape business to succeed, but we don't know anything about landscaping. ADP only knows how to handle the business of your small business. So if ADP focuses on the payroll and the HR, while you focus on the land and the scaping, success should follow. Just don't expect us to know all about Kentucky bluegrass, zero-turn cutting, or what to do with a woodchuck. That's for you to figure out. Let ADP help your small business focus on the part of the business you're good at. ADP for small business.
I love the neighborhood where I grew up, but it was tough.
Ohio State National Championship quarterback and former CareSource kid, Cardale Jones.
Football helped me find my direction, but I also needed the right support system. Seeing that CareSource heart around town, I just knew they had my back. That's the kind of difference they still make in neighborhoods like mine. This is so much more than health insurance. CareSource, today and always. Trusted. Visit caresource.com.
Experience Buckeye game day like never before. Welcome to the 1922 Club, the most exclusive space inside Ohio Stadium, where luxury meets tradition in the heart of Buckeye Nation. Enjoy upscale food and beverages and a game day atmosphere like no other. Create lasting memories with friends and mingling with other Buckeye fans, and celebrate every OHIO in ultimate comfort. Become a member of the 1922 Club today. Memberships are limited. Visit OhioStateBuckeyes.com.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
This is Paul Keels for RV Wholesalers. Peace of mind. That's what you get when purchasing your next RV from RV Wholesalers. With every new RV purchase, Ohio residents receive the exclusive Buckeye Service Guarantee. If your RV is in the shop, RV Wholesalers will give you a free loaner. Also with a Buckeye Service Guarantee, you'll receive free delivery in the state of Ohio and 3-day RV exchange. That's the exclusive Buckeye Service Guarantee. Only at RV Wholesalers in Lakeview, Mansfield, Delaware, and RVW.com. RV Wholesalers, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
In the old days when people lived to be 40, you only had one option for listening to your favorite show. But now, ooh, baby, radio, podcast, the Fan app, and YouTube, just to name a few, live or on demand. You have no excuses. The Fan.
Buckeye Nation, join us on April 12th at the 2026 Ohio State 4-Miler, presented by Union Home Mortgage, the Ohio Beef Council, and Raising Cane's. This is your chance to run down a tunnel and finish on the 50-yard line at Ohio Stadium. You can also get access to the home locker room and meet some of your favorite Buckeye student athletes. A portion of the proceeds benefit the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. This is something you won't want to miss. Register today at ohiostateformiler.com. Go Bucks!
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Well, we are looking mild the next few days. Overnight tonight into Wednesday, couple of rain showers, upper 40s. Looking at 60s on Wednesday. That's near the record, and it will be gusty in the afternoon, drier in the afternoon as well. Thursday, chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high temps in the 60s. That is your 97.1 The Fan weather forecast. I'm 10 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource, proud to be your home for Ohio State Athletics. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The only radio show that bleeds scarlet and gray. This is the Buckeye Show.
Coming up here at 7:30, Jacob Reimer and I will get you ready for Ohio State, Wisconsin, coming up here at the Shot tonight. At 8:30, our warm-up show begins here, like I said, at 7:30. And then we will kick it over to the Shot. Paul, Ron, and Skip will take you through the evening. And then we're going to be back for postgame a little bit later tonight. Tim, how you feeling about the Buckeye basketball coming in here this evening? I don't know if it's a must-win or a can't-lose game.
I don't know. I think it would have to be must-win.
Yeah.
I mean, what else could it be? Number one. Number two, I'm just sitting there watching that game again the other night, and I know they lost a guy with a bad finger, and that happens, But my point was, man, they still just, Ohio State, just push comes to shove, they just still don't have that big guy in the middle of the paint who, in certain points of a game, just takes over by largeness and or ability. They don't. And
you look at BYU, AJ DeBonsa, you look at Michigan, Adai Mara. And by the way, Michigan is at Purdue. They're at Mackey tonight. Purdue, number 7 in the country. Michigan, number 1. They're up 18 points.
Wow.
Michigan on the road, and it's not even halftime.
So who should be more upset, Ohio State fans or Purdue fans? I mean, I'm just asking.
Why don't we get into a little bit more of that on Thursday when you're in for a full 2 hours, and we can really debrief that.
I just would just those guys don't grow on trees, and
they don't.
You just wish they could find that 1 or 2 dudes that could really just rule the paint, for want of another term. But I love Bruce Thornton. So,
he's great. He's going to have to.
He just ran out of gas the other night, brother.
Yeah, he's going to have to put on his Superman cape tonight again. Ohio State, Wisconsin coming up at 8:30 from the Shot. Here is more of Ted Carter with Dom Taberry. Again, you can go watch the entire thing on 10 TV Plus. What about the transfer portal from him and how it's affecting college athletics right now?
We can argue about how we wish it would be like it used to be. But you're right. There's a professionalization to a certain degree with players getting paid, NIL, transfer portal. The years of getting that 4 or 5 star out of high school, developing that young man in a football program for 4 or maybe 5 years, I think will be less the model than will be what it used to be. And you're going to see more of what we saw this year. 30 players leave Ohio State. You look at who we brought in to replace those, 14 of them have 3 years of playing experience or more. So there's the model right there. And Ryan knows that he needs an experienced team. Look at the kicker that we got coming out of Baylor, right? He's got 3 years of kicking. He made 3 out of 4 kicks outside of 50 yards. Connor's going to be a heck of a kicker for us next year.
It's so funny that immediately the first player that we went to was the kicker.
Well, that's what I was going to bring it up with you, earlier in the show. I mean, I would think Connor Hawkins now has the job.
Yeah.
When the president of the university has ordained it and even threw some stats in to back up his ordainment. But by the way, I like Ted Carter a lot. It has nothing to do with president, whatever. He was a Rio. He was a Rio on an F-14 for those many years, and
he's got some incredible
radar intercept
stories.
officer. And I just like how cool he is, man. But yeah, he goes back to that. And dude, you think about it, my buddy Jeff Snook, he just blanches about when I bring up Jaden Fielding and who was the kicker at against Georgia. Anyway, just blanches on moments that didn't happen, that could have happened.
Blankenship?
Yeah, Blankenship, if you had made a kick. And,
not Blankenship. That was Georgia's kicker.
Yeah, that was Georgia's kicker.
I just heard Georgia, and I thought...
No, against Georgia.
Yeah, I was going to say.
How soon they forget, right?
That guy was unmissable.
How soon they forget, but the bottom line is, finally...
Noah Ruggles.
Noah Ruggles. It finally does come down sometimes to one play, one kick, and... not knocking anybody who's missed them, because I know a lot of them who have, but
I wouldn't make
But
it.
it's funny that the president of the university, that was the first name out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, right?
And Connor Hawkins is pretty good. You look at his resume, you look at his videos.
I know he's good, but until
competitive dude.
And I don't want to be like the cynical one.
But you can't do that. But you can't be in the future. You got to live.
You do have to live, and I don't want to be the one that's cynical here. Again, we'll find out, right? Like if he's a clutch kicker or not. But until you're in that situation where it's Ohio State is either going to lose this game or win this game on the back of you, on the leg of you in front of 105,000 people, whether it's at Penn State, whether it's at Michigan, whether it's at home, whether it's at a college football playoff semifinal, whatever the situation may be, we're talking about a dude from Baylor coming here again. Like, I'm sure he's got the talent. I'm sure that Jaden Fielding had the talent.
Like Jaden Fielding was from League City, Texas, and then by way of IMG. It's not like he came here from the St. Louis Cardinals or St. Louis Arizona Cardinals or something.
Listen, kickers are so funny. And again, I know,
but you never know until you know. And then they can always miss.
And I don't know about you, Tim, but I've been locked in on the Winter Olympics that's been going on in Milan. And I've been, watching about every event. And my wife and I were watching the figure skating last night. And I'm like, everyone who was crowning like the German team and the pairs last night, and everyone who was crowning Ilya Malinin for the U.S. that he's going to win gold.
Bingo.
They were anointed, and then all of a sudden they crumbled in the pressure time. You don't know until you know. You still have to go out and make your kicks. You got to make your blocks. You got to make, your tackles. You got to make your catches. Like it's a weird thing that pressure does in sports.
I'm only watching stuff from Cortina, so that's where
you're not into the
No, that's the point. I mean, nobody ever knows until the moment. You can have the greatest wide receiver in football history drop a pass in the end zone. You never know. And that's what makes sports so great. One of my best friends in Dennis Feely, the late great Dennis Feely, his wife used to give him crap because he loved watching sports. And he goes, because of the drama, and she goes, well, it's the same as watching a movie or what? And I go, no, this is happening.
Yeah.
This is happening now. And there's a plan, but there's no script.
Correct.
Big difference. And that's what makes sports so cool. One guy steps, look at the Buffalo Bills. Golly. For want of a kicker. But they are what they are, and they let them off the hook. I'm mixing my quotes there.
That was a rest in peace, Dennis Green.
Got that right.
The late, great Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, he was a head coach at Northwestern at one point. He and Francis P.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
We let them
off the hook.
And if you want to crown them, we'll go ahead and crown their blanks.
Yeah.
But we let them off the hook, and they are who we thought they were. Before we get out of here tonight,
you got to finish.
You do. Our fan poll at 971thefan.com or on X at 971thefan. Josh Pate recently called Ohio State the top program in the country in college football. Do you agree with him? Here's what he was talking about, quoting to his metrics.
I think Ohio State's the top program in the country. Ohio State is 37-6 over the past 3 years. They've got a national championship mixed in here. They are a top 5 recruiting program in the country. They're a very, very high value portal program. Translation, they don't need to flood themselves with a bunch of transfers because they recruit and develop very well. But when they do need to, they can be very selective and they can be very effective in the transfer portal. And they're just excellent at staffing. I don't know that many programs at all are doing it better. Just think about what's happened within this past 3 years at Ohio State. You had 2 coordinator turnover situations. Just this past year it happened. And then you lose Chip Kelly, who was a foundational piece of that run, and you elevate from within. But then also you go and you get Matt Patricia because Jim Knowles moves on. And if anything, they improved defensively, which is just really hard to do. So that is supreme organizational structure there. Ohio State is here as long as Ryan Day's there. And then even above and beyond Ryan Day, not to overlook him, one of the best doing it right now, but even to move beyond him, Ohio State as a program has been resilient over the past several head coaches they've had.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long. Tim, you've been
the press guide, man.
You have been covering this team for a long time.
Yeah.
How many years, how many seasons has it been where Ohio State was irrelevant on a national scale?
Seldom. If you want me to name them, I can name them. But since '84, you got like 1988. But then they had a new coach. 1999, which. They rebounded the next year and then lost 2 straight bowl games to South Carolina. Go figure.
Yeah.
And in 2011, they were relevant then, but just didn't have the, they lost their, top 5 or 6 players were suspended for half the year or more. And
6-6 that year, right?
Yeah.
Or 6-7.
When you consider Joe Bauserman started the year as their starting quarterback, that'll tell you a lot of things you need to know. And but the bottom line, Joe Bauserman, good guy, but Braxton Miller came along. We got to see his brilliance. But, dude, it's Jim Trustle's talked about this before, John Cooper. There's no reason for Ohio State not to be good, but to say that that's easy is really stupid. What Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni and Mickey Marotti, that threesome has done and continues to do is what really sets it apart because they really set the tone, but everybody falls in line. It's the Ohio State defense, not Matt Patricia's defense.
Correct.
It's the Ohio State offense, not
Arthur
Smith's offense. They just
Brian
want
Hartline's offense. Chip Kelly's
They want him to come in with new pollen and pollinate the flower a little bit and add some things and maybe just bottom line is that's what makes it the continuation. Even when you change head coaches, the other guy understands it and picks up on it. And there are people, as I said during Cooper's really early years, I know we got to go. When things were really just crazy, I go, boy, if everybody started rowing the boat in the same direction, this would be a hell of a boat. And they finally did. Yeah. The 90s, take away the losses to Michigan, which you can't do, but the 90s were unbelievable. Yeah. But right now, these last 25 years have been the golden era of Ohio State football. 50 years from now, when people are doing the history books, that's what they'll call it.
Tim,
it's crazy.
I had a terrific time with you this evening. Let's do it again on Thursday.
You got it, brother.
Tonight, right?
You got it.
Everyone have an awesome night. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Buckeye Hoop.